Fair value gaps plus order flow is going to make you guys a lot of money. Let's go through this. So I used to be looking at fair value gaps, learning ICT, order flow, liquidity sweeps, and I would just see them and simply just take them. No confirmation prior. There was really nothing I could really go off of. I pretty much just saw it. I seen price retrace back to it, and most of the time it worked, and some of the time it was pretty much 50-50. I blew up accounts. I pretty much went on a streak. And that's kind of what the story is if you're just trading fair value gaps with purely just candles. But when you add order flow to it, you could actually see what is actually happening in the individual candles, and you could actually see whether it's going to respect it or if it's going to just completely disrespect it and continue and crush that fair value gap essentially. So fair value gaps are essentially just like bounce points for price to leverage off of, kind of like stairs. That's how I like to imagine fair value gaps. So with order flow, I am using confirmation as to if a trade's going to work out, if the trade's like actually going to use it as a stepping stone to climb price up so we could find a liquidity pool. Now, all this is going to be complicated as I'm saying this right now, but let's just take it one step at a time, okay? And let's go over what a fair value gap is. If you guys are new to ICT concepts, it's pretty simple. You guys could, it's a very simple thing. I suggest you guys train your eye to what this is. And then I'm going to show you guys an indicator that highlights it on your guys' map. So we're going to go through the entire strategy here today for you guys. So let's start off with what is a fair value gap. So it's pretty much a 3-candle pattern, okay? So it's one candle, right, that's moving in a direction. So it could be this candle right here. And then another candle that moves in the same direction with a big body. The body is like this, like it's this whole thing. It's not the wicks, right? It's not the wicks, it's the body, right? And then it's the third candle that makes sure that price doesn't, even the wick doesn't get in this space, right? This means essentially that like price moved way too fast, institutions put way too much money, right? And it left some buyers on the table, right? So let's say we establish this fair value gap, and then we continue to go up, and then it retraces down. Once we hit this level, this level means that it's desirable, right? It's desirable because people pushed up in price, right? It was favorable, right? So we might have left some buyers still on the market. That's kind of how you should think about fair value gaps, right? Not all the time does this happen. Once again, I'm going to show you guys what actually is the strategy. So that's pretty much what a fair value gap is. I know I'm throwing a lot into you guys, but that's essentially what it is. It's a zone, it's a key level where price could react off of it, right? It's gonna either continue it or it could be reactionary, right? So that's kind of what it is. That's usually the mistake I just said. It's the second price goes down and touches it, we sometimes go off of it with zero confirmation. It reaches a zone and then we enter immediately. That's what I used to do. Honestly, I was very dumb, okay? But usually the market sweeps through it or it respects it, right? We can't know specifically, those are key zones that the market likes to use, right? So yeah, I'm going to show you guys really quick on the charts. So I've already found this level right here. Guys, so we're on the charts, okay? And I had a specific one that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And it was pretty much this zone right here. So we see we have a Lux Algo fair value gap indicator. So you pretty much just go on TradingView and put on the fair value gap indicator. And it should look something like this, right? It's a fair value gap, which I talked about, right? But these are negative ones. These are bearish fair value gaps, right? And I'm on the 5-minute just because that's like the time frame that I'd like to look for, because it means it's usually bigger. It's more money, right? The more time that it establishes as a fair value gap, it's more valid in my opinion, rather than like a quick fast 1 minute. I feel like 5 minutes are more valuable because it means that more time was spent creating that fair value gap. So let's take a look at the 5-minute ones. So right here, we saw that price reacted, right? So usually price doesn't react like this, right? Usually we like to crush fair value gaps. Like for instance, we created this one and then we essentially disrespected it by closing below it. How do we know, right? It could have been good. We could have taken even this one, right? We could have taken this fair value gap right here. How could we have known which one it was going to respect? You know, it's very hard, right? It's very hard. Oh shit. It's very hard to know, honestly. How could we have known? So we pretty much go, and I'm going to go highlight this, We're treating these candles as if it was a volume footprint chart, right? We don't have time and sales. That's a separate video for another time. But we're essentially treating this like a volume footprint chart. All right, so essentially what I highlighted right here is that 5-minute fair value gap right here. And we're essentially seeing how price reacts to this, right? So what I'm looking for is absorption. So we have the top level right here. We see that it tried to push up, right? Because all that absorption and exhaustion is usually when we try to push price up right here, and then essentially candle goes back and rejects it. That's kind of one sign of absorption, right? That's one sign that I like to look for, absorption, right? But this is very close to the candle wick, right? We want it to be essentially out of the candle wick, meaning the most amount of price happened on the wick, right? Happened on the wick, and we're reacting inside of a key level in the favorable price that we want to do. So essentially, this would be like a negative. All we want to see is confirmation that it's going to keep going down, right? So we want to see price all the way up here. Essentially, we want to see a strong push literally get rejected, right? The best would be if it was all the way up here and it like just completely rejected it. So this is the point of control, meaning the highest amount of buyers transacted during these areas, and the price pushed back. That's weird. When we have a high amount of buyers up here, we should be essentially pushing up, right? But something is happening. Somebody is buying those orders. An institution maybe is buying up all the orders, ready to make a market reversal or a market just push onto the other side. Or maybe it's passive buyers or sellers taking up all that absorption and actually getting ready to push the market in towards the other way. So right here, we could see we're still in the candle. Okay, that's good, you know. But then we try to go up over here, and it doesn't reach up over here, meaning there's less and less buyers willing to push market prices higher than this. Okay, so we have essentially like a mini head and shoulders. So what a head and shoulders would be probably like right here. So if oh shit. So if price doesn't want to go like above here, then that means that, holy shit, this might be the top. This essentially by creating like a little a hump right here confirms this as the high, because this was just formed. So essentially we're doing like a head and shoulders type of strategy. Head and shoulders type of strategy right here, where price or buyers are getting kind of fatigued, right? It's not willing to go. And then we're also seeing the fatigue within the candle as well. The candle is telling us, wait, you know, it's getting rejected at the wick, right? There's the most amount of buyers getting exhausted at these levels. I'm going to just start reversing. So what I like to do is, if I see this, that's one side of the conversation. We can't enter just based on that, right? We have to look at multiple different things. We have to look at, are we within a key area, a key zone, right? It doesn't even have to be a fair value gap. It could be a liquidity sweep. It could be a supply and demand level, which this is really good for as well if you guys trade that. But for this, we're looking at inside a key zone, which would be our fair value gap. So are we in a fair value gap? Yes. Are we are we showing signs of confirmation of price getting exhausted? Yes. Okay, that's 2 levels of confluence. The third one that I like to look for is the next candle actually fatiguing, right? Are we seeing our candle melt and fatigue, right? Are we what I would love to see, right? Is I don't want to see price this candle. I don't want to see it go above this strong body right here. And I do want to see it crush this body. I know that's so dumb and stupid, but trust me, this actually worked a lot, right? It means this candle doesn't have enough buying power still. It doesn't have buying power. So if you guys ever seen the video where there's a really good video where candles actually do tell stories. There's not enough buyers within this candle to even go up, right? So that's a sign of a weak candle, right? A weak candle ready to go down. It's not even like reaching this body, but it is crushing this body. It's crushing this body. So right here, we would essentially take a really good trade off of this. This is already giving me confirmation because it exhausted at those prices, and it had the highest amount of volume above the wick or on the wick instead of above the body of the candle. So this would be a pretty good trade to take off of right here. Where's my thing? Right here. And then we would essentially target the next liquidity pool. I know we're going off a little bit fast, but I think if you guys are experienced enough, you guys should be able to get it. We would essentially target this. We would take that risk right here. We would get that wick. And we would zoom out and try to target the next available liquidity pool, which would be right here. Liquidity pools meaning this is where people probably have a lot of stop losses, and we're targeting where liquidity is because price always tries to find liquidity, right? Price always tries to find liquidity. There's always going to be liquidity around especially a big stump like this. Big stump like this, somebody probably took a trade right here. There's a lot of stop loss right here. Price always went to go look for liquidity. Boom, right? This is exactly what I mean by liquidity. And obviously price went lower and lower and lower and lower. And I guess you could essentially do some sort of like, what's it called? Dragging stop loss. What is it called? You guys know what I mean, like where you drag your stop loss. But honestly, if you're like extremely conservative, this is already a good enough trade, right? You're risking 7,000 to make 2,000, right? I don't even know how much. Is this a contract? I don't know. But essentially, you're risking 7,075 to make 200, right? Let's just put it like that. This is pretty good odds. This is a 1 to 5 risk to reward ratio. I'm telling you guys that if you guys look for opportunities on the 5 minute and go down to the 1 minute to actually handle your executions, it would be much better just because you could actually lower risk, and you could actually find you could make your entries a lot better, because if this was on the 5 minute, your stop loss would probably be up here. You're giving up RR. Essentially, we're trying to fine tune our RR and not trying to give away as much money as possible, right? We're trying to get as much winning trades as possible and give the market enough room to get to where we want price to be, right? And yeah, honestly, this is pretty much the trade. I'm probably going to be making another video on a lot more different topics. I do like this topic though. I'm also learning a little bit of other stuff as well. So I'm going to be keeping you guys in touch with all that stuff. But for now, I think this is a pretty good strategy. I want you guys to back test it. If you guys have any order flow software, that would be a much better thing than to use TradingView, in all honesty. But TradingView honestly gives me really good indicators, so it's also a pretty good tool as well. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this helped you guys, and go ahead and backtest this for yourself. I can't really show you if it works. You guys can backtest this yourself, see if your entries get better.